Stay with me as we expand our knowledge with videos from all over the internet that's going to make you question reality. Let's just start.
Okay, so I want to talk about something I learned from a man that's a multimillionaire. And it has to do with this part of your brain, the anterior cingulate cortex. I hope I'm saying that right. So basically, what he was saying is like he always gets people that ask him, why are you so successful? How do you stay focused? And to him, he said in his mind, he always just think because that's what I want to do and it's easy to me. And then he discovered a study that speaks on this portion of your brain. Basically, the study is that when you do things that you do not want to do or you do not feel like doing, this part of your brain gets bigger. And when you do things and you don't do those, say it's something you don't want to do and you don't do it, this part gets smaller. They say this part of the brain is found to be biggest in like athletes, overachievers, wealthy people. And no shade, no tea, it's said to be smallest in people that are obese. But here's the real information right here. When you continue to do these things that you do not want to do and you grow this part of your brain, it becomes easier for you to do. When you continue to give in to what you don't want to do and you don't feel like doing, it gets smaller, which also makes it harder for you to do. So the trick is to train your brain. Train your brain to do things that you don't want to do, that you think are hard. Pick up that cup that's been sitting on that table for 2 weeks. Pick up that piece of paper that's been on the floor like it's furniture in your house. And just continue to do those things so you can grow as a person. Call that number that you're supposed to call to see if you can get funded for your business. Pick up the phone and call your relatives that you don't feel like talking to. Do the things that you perceive as hard and they'll get easier. So bottom line, the key to being successful is doing those things that you don't want to do until they become second nature and easy to you. Make it happen for yourself. Period.
Make it happen.
Remember that I told you that the U.S. will try to divide China and Russia? Just watch this video.
What we're going to do is try to break this alliance that he currently has. He's got an alliance around North Korea that wasn't there before. He's got an alliance with Iran that wasn't there before. He's got an alliance with China that wasn't there before, meaning 4 years ago before.
Now, in this new administration of Donald Trump, he chose some very interesting people to work with him. You have some from Washington, right? Some people who are already politicians who have worked with previous administrations. And then you have people who are completely outside of Washington. People who are his closest partners, people that he really trusts. Because in his previous term, there were a lot of people from Washington who betrayed him. So this time, he has a mix of people. Now, this guy's name is Keith Kellogg. He is from Washington. Just the way he speaks, you already know he's from Washington, right? So let me explain to you what this guy is asking Russia to do. When Russia invaded in 2022, the very first countries that stood by Russia was
China,
North
Korea,
and India.
Oh, okay.
China, knowing very well that its biggest trading partner is the United States, took a major risk to stand by Russia. Now, I have to say that China also knew that they needed to stand by Russia for their own sake. So I don't really think that this was just an act of generosity. No. China knew very well that the U.S. will come after them when they finish with Russia. So they needed to do everything in their power for the Russian economy not to fall. They invested a lot of money. They invested manpower. Remember the exit of all these companies from Russia? China and India were replacing those companies, right? Including, of course, Russia itself, right? And so China did everything in its power for the Russian economy not to fall. That's China. Now, when Ukraine invaded the Kursk region, North Korea was the country that sent more than 10,000 soldiers to assist Russia. Now, Russia did not need those soldiers. We have to be very clear on that. They didn't need them. But Russia made an alliance with North Korea for political reasons, but it was also a guarantee to themselves that they have partners. They needed partners. They needed people that they can exchange with. So North Korea stood by Russia, sending its soldier to die for Russia. When Russia needed drones, it is Iran who supplied those drones. Not only that those drones help Iran know the effectiveness, because, you know, in order for you to test a weapon is always good during war. So Iran sent those drones to be tested, but also to assist Russia and help Russia develop a drone industry as well. All of that making things easier for Russia to win this war. It is these three countries that the US wants to break the relationship with Russia. Can you imagine that? Who would want to give up on people who stood by them in the most difficult time? Now keep in mind, Russia today does not have to sit down and negotiate with anyone. Russia is only negotiating with the United States for good faith, because Trump came in there and said, look, let's talk. I don't want to act like these, you know, the Biden administration who spent their time insulting Russia as though Russia was nothing. Trump recognized the power of Russia. What Russia is winning in Ukraine. Russia does not have to sit down at a negotiating table. There's nothing the United States has that can hold Russia in this conflict. Nothing. They don't have to accept anything. They're sitting down with the US to negotiate because of Trump. Winners don't have to negotiate.
No.
I would like to believe that this is probably for us,
Like
the
the sound
audience,
of that.
right? You know, you have to say something to look like you're strong. That's fine. If that's why he's saying what he's saying, that's fine. But I bet you one thing, this guy is not speaking for Trump. This is not the first time he says something and then Trump does something totally different. I know for sure that Trump is smarter than this and knows very well that Russia does not have to sit down at the table with anyone. There's no leverage that the United States has that would make Russia to give up on China, Iran, and North Korea.
And there's a city underwater. Okay, there's a 100,000 square foot biodome on the floor of the ocean, which has essentially been drained of all water, creating a breathable, oxygenated interior on the ocean floor. It's massive. I'm talking 50,000 feet high, miles in circumference. They basically began colonizing it. Okay, first they built cities, infrastructure, laying the groundwork for commerce, effective transportation systems, but it gets even darker. Okay, they didn't colonize it with people who know what's going on. Okay, they took human embryos, right? And they began raising this colony of kids who had no idea of any world outside of this environment, and raised them in here with a fabricated worldview, false beliefs. Okay, they think that that biodome is their entire universe, and anything outside of it is just a completely unknown abyss, right? Like, this is basically a deranged experiment carried out by these maniacs. Like, imagine taking one of those people out of there and bringing them up here. Like, just imagine the shock. Scariest part is there are dozens upon dozens of these biodome experiments down there. Like, they're creating a fabricated mini-universe paradigm where these biodomes are different planets and the people in the colonies just don't know.
Let me just say this real quick on here. Y'all need to be careful who y'all be friends with in real life. I mean, social media too, but I'm talking about in person. It's a lot of people that have evil agendas behind closed doors against you. They might not even have met you in your life, but they implanted in their mind that they want to hurt you. Like, people can detect what type of spirit people got. If you have a strong spirit of discernment, you can tell what type of person has a good spirit or a bad spirit. That's why it's important. Do not be buddy-buddy with everybody. Do not be up in everybody's face, because everybody is not a happy spirit or a good spirit. It's a lot of people that's worshiping Lucifer, that's trying to hurt you, that's trying to mess up your reputation, your goals, your blessings that God is trying to give you. That's why it's important to just stick to yourself, pray to God, talk to God, and let God pick your friends, because when you pick your own friends, some things ain't gonna be good.
A lot of women are actually very, very nasty on the inside. They're not a good person. They don't take care of themselves. They're very, very nasty on the inside on the way they treat their significant other. A woman to a man is literally their trophy. A man's biggest flex is a woman that he could bring around his family and his friends and, you know, take her up to the top with him if he has biggest goals. But a lot of women are very controlling on the inside. They're very manipulating. They make themselves easily accessible to men on social media, in the bars, in the clubs, and they just portray themselves to have such a pretty smile and they're just a pretty girl on the outside, but deep, deep, deep on the inside, a lot of women can be nasty. So fellas, don't always go for the looks. A lot of women portray themselves to be pretty on the outside, but look what's on the inside. Look deep, deep, deep within women, because it'll be a disaster long term if you just go for someone for the looks.
What a crazy thing to ask of the human race, to say you have to spend the vast majority of your free time at this job, and at your 9 to 5 you have to pretend like nothing else outside of your 9 to 5 exists, and outside of your 9 to 5 you have no needs or desires, you have no family, you don't have you aren't going to the doctor. Like, you have to pretend when you're in this like little element, you have to pretend like
cubicle,
none of this exists.
Yeah,
that is so bizarre.
And the fact that you have to like follow rules, like we're children still.
What?
Like, having a corporate job like that is so humiliating. Like, it's like you cannot be who you are. You have to like be a robot.
It's not even about being who you are. You have to not be a person.
Yeah.
I know every businessman. I know the good ones, the bad ones, the smart ones, the lucky ones. I know them all. This guy's he's a brilliant guy. He's a great guy. He's got tremendous imagination and scientific imagination, far beyond, you know, you keep talking about a technologist and all, but you're much more than a technologist. You are that. But he's also a good person. He's a very good person, and he wants to see the country do well. And I know a lot of great business people, really great business people, but, you know, they're not really, in some cases, very good people. And I know people that would try and take advantage of the situation. This guy's somebody that really cares for the country, and I saw that very early on. I saw it really a long time ago when I got to know him. He's a very different kind of a character. That's why, you know who loves him? Young people that are very smart and that love the country.
Yeah, right, true.
85% of the people on the planet are followers. 10% of the people on the planet are creators or leaders, and 5% of the people are observers. So when you got 85% of the people who are willing to follow, the 10% who are able to create something are going to capitalize off of that, and the 5% are usually the ones who are assassinated or shunned or discredited because they can see everything that's going on, and they would ruin it all for the 10%. So the reason why it's so easy to do that is because people are willing to be led.
Well, Jaguar Wright was just presented an award at the president's home after everything that she said about Jay-Z and Diddy. And this is a huge deal. Jaguar Wright just got presented the Defender of Freedom Award after everything that she said about the whole music industry and Hollywood. And she was invited to this event to accept this award at Donald Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago. Jaguar Wright, a voice of truth and courage. Tonight, Jaguar Wright was honored with the Defender of Freedom Award presented by General Michael Flynn in recognition of her fearless dedication to truth and justice. As a bold and unapologetic voice in the fight for transparency and accountability, Jaguar continues to shine light where others fear to tread. Every single person that she called out better watch their backs. And what's even crazier, Jaguar Wright went to this event with Liz Crokin. Liz Crokin has been calling out Hollywood for a long time, but also, guys, Liz Crokin is the reporter that talked to Kathy White, Jay-Z's alleged mistress, before she passed away. Liz Crokin said in August 2011 she was working as senior editor for Star Magazine, and her boss asked her to look into an online blog claiming that a woman named Kathy Coriana White was having an alleged affair with Jay-Z. She said that the blog that reportedly first broke the affair story was published by the Hollywood Street King in an article titled "Busted: Jay-Z Caught Cheating on Beyonce with Kathy White" in August of 2010. She said that she managed to get a hold of Kathy at her job in New York over the phone, and during their first conversation, she denied having an affair with Jay-Z. She said that she also claimed that she had never hung out with him or even met him. And then Liz Crokin said that she uncovered photos of Kathy White hanging out with Jay-Z and Diddy, no less at Teo nightclub in Las Vegas. So she called her back and asked her about the photo evidence that debunked her initial claim that she had never met or hung out with Jay-Z. And this is the photo that Liz Crokin was talking about. Now, Liz Crokin alleged that at this point, Kathy White expressed to her that she would consider going public with her story, and days later, she tried to reach her at work with no luck. She said that she finally got a hold of one of her colleagues and asked if she knew why Kathy had been MIA, and her colleague told Liz Crokin that she had passed away. And this really is a huge deal after everything that we've seen Jaguar Wright say over the years, especially about Diddy. And then to see where Diddy is right now and what he's being charged with and all of the horrible allegations that's come out against him. And now Jaguar Wright is finally receiving a noble, amazing, incredible award for everything that she said is amazing. But y'all let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments.
Be grateful for who you are. Be grateful that you know something about yourself. I am a spiritual being. I live in a physical body. I correspond with the material universe. I attract to me whatever's in harmony with me. And you see, if you concentrate on the good and you concentrate on nothing but good coming to you, that's what's going to come. Thing that you will attract is what you focus on. Focus is the key. Focus on the good that you desire. Start to see it coming into your life. And a couple of times a day, sit down, just get in the habit of doing it. It's like eating or brushing your teeth. In fact, you may hook this habit up with brushing your teeth or eating. Let yourself relax and give thanks for all the good that's coming into your life and see all the good that you want coming into your life. But have a deep feeling of gratitude. Be grateful. Think of it. I was in a restaurant one day and it struck me. They have gratuity. It comes from gratitude. Gratuity comes from gratitude. And you leave a gratuity. It's a tip to let them know that you're grateful for the service that you received. Well, be grateful for all the good that's coming into your life. And sit down and mentally let yourself get into that vibration and do it frequently. You can turn it into a habit. A habit is something you do without giving any conscious thought to it. You get dressed by habit, comb your hair, shave, put your makeup on. It's all done automatic. It's part of your paradigm, part of your program. Make gratitude one part of it. Develop it. Have an attitude of gratitude. I'll be so glad you did.
They've even got teleportation now.
Really?
So we don't even have to worry about inventing that now.
Who invented that?
Some Russian scientists did it in Russia years ago, and also here in the United States. Now, they haven't teleported a human being yet, but they have been teleporting particles, and now they can teleport a series of molecules. So they're getting bigger and bigger. So they teleported particles from Earth to the International Space Station and back, so we can teleport now. They're finding ways to even teleport through the internet now. So this is crazy. What was the biggest thing holding us back from teleporting bigger objects like a human being, a more complex organism? Storage space. The data to know all the trillions of atoms in your body and the exact location and position they're in to put them back together and reassemble them. Because when you teleport, you die.
Oh, wow.
So teleportation, it pulls you apart atom by atom, and the original version of you no longer exists. It reassembles you. It's a reincarnation. So anything that's teleported from one end to the next, the original thing is gone. The second thing you see that appears is a facsimile.
And this is just show y'all that air is nothing but condensed. Air is nothing but less condensed water. We're in a fish tank. We're in a fish tank, y'all. We're literally breathing in air. You can Google this. Air is nothing but water. Water is nothing but thoughts. Thought is nothing but emotions, or what you call cosmetic energy, energy in motion. And it goes through its water. It goes through its water cycle or its water sign. It goes through its water cycle or its water sign. You see that? The water cycle, it goes through its water storage in the atmosphere, condensation, it goes through all of it, evaporation. Water is nothing but condensed sunlight. All right.
is it your view, and it's fine if you don't have a view on this, that Jean-Michel Trogneau fathered children before he transitioned to Brigitte?
Alors, sur la question de la vie de Jean-Michel. So, on the question of Jean-Michel Trogneau's life, for the moment, it's a dotted one. We know that Brigitte Macron was born Jean-Michel Trogneau on February 11th, 1945, and that she lived under this identity at least until 1963. Then, there are two children who were declared by Jean-Michel Trogneau, one named Jean-Jacques Trogneau and the other Valérie. This raises questions of, would this potentially be Brigitte Macron's son? Well, this Jean-Jacques Trogneau looks like a spitting image of Emmanuel Macron. What's all that about?
Do you then have any opinion or view or lead on who was the mother then of Jean-Jacques and Valerie?
Yes, it's a woman.
I know that much.
C'est une femme qui s'appelle Véronique Dreux.
It's a woman named Véronique Dreux. She's a retired woman who was remarried to an important aristocrat from Amiens and undoubtedly raised the children of Jean-Michel Trogneau. I had a strange phone call with Véronique because while we were speaking, I realized in the background there were a bunch of people around listening to our conversation, and I asked to have some pictures and when I could obtain these, but Véronique said she would have to ask Brigitte first. I found that quite odd for a response to my question. I believe that once Emmanuel Macron is no longer in power, Pandora's box will be opened, people will start to speak, and this family's secret, which is so closely guarded, will start to unveil itself. I also believe the fall from grace for Macron will be quite severe. There's also an interesting shift in the media where news outlets such as the equivalent of the New York Times in France, who in the past have not paid any sort of noticeable attention to the fact that Brigitte is a man, have now started placing her name in quotation marks, hinting at the fact that things might not be as they seem. Even Le Monde, who for the past 12 years propped up Brigitte Macron, has now admitted that Emmanuel Macron was 14 when he met Brigitte. It used to be a conspiracy theory, but now as Emmanuel Macron nears his term's end, the secrets are coming out one by one and being acknowledged more. There was this interesting Twitter account, Zoe Sagan, which was helping compile information, and the account was shut down, and I've been pleading with the public or anyone who is in a position to help to see if this account could be reinstated, because that would be most helpful to this case. There were also 4 people detained for cyberbullying, rather than for defamation like Natasha Ray, which I find interesting because it's almost like they're regarding her as some girl on the school playground who's being bullied as a child rather than calling it what it is. It's entirely unjust for journalists to be locked up and detained for this supposed cyberbullying when their accounts and articles are all based in truth and fact.
Stop calling men that are women, women, and stop calling women that are men, men. Be precise in it. Just don't put up with it. Like, I'm not going to call you that. I'm sorry. You don't stop being a man just because you wear camouflage, and I'll prove it to you. You don't stop being a white person if you wear blackface.
Obviously.
They're wearing woman face. They're appropriating womanhood. You're the same chromosomal makeup. And finally, from a spiritual aspect, this is where I think the church has to lean in and we have to rebuke this evil, which is, this is a war on God's design.
Yes.
This is an intentional, all-out campaign and crusade. God made man and woman in his image.
Billionaires are not real. Not in the way that we think. Not in the way we imagine wealth to be. Because money, true money, flows. It moves, it exchanges, it circulates. But a billionaire is not just a person with money. A billionaire is a system, a machine, a siphon. Think about it. To amass that level of wealth, you are not just earning, you are extracting. You are not just working, you are leveraging. It is not about the hours you put in. It is not about your effort. It is about the system you control. Because no one builds an empire alone. The billionaire is an idea man, a strategist, a figurehead. The real labor, the real energy, the real creation, that comes from the hands of the many, the designers, the engineers, the workers, the dreamers who pour their time, their effort, their very life force into something they will never own. The billionaire is not rich in money. The billionaire is rich in influence and power and the ability to direct the flow of energy, resources, and people. And what is the cost of this illusion? The earth is exhausted. The people are drained. We extract more than we replenish. We take more than we give. And in return, the world suffers. The economy fractures. People are in survival mode, disconnected, angry, desperate. Why? Because the flow has stopped. Because wealth, instead of circulating, is hoarded. And we are told this is just how it is, that some must struggle so others can thrive, that competition is the natural order. But that is a lie. The greatest trick played on humanity was convincing us that scarcity is real, that we must fight over what is abundant, that we must hoard what was meant to be shared. But abundance does not come from hoarding, it comes from giving. It comes from the natural balance of energy exchanged. If wealth does not flow, it does not nourish. If it does not give back, then it is not wealth at all. It is greed. It is control. It is spiritual imbalance. And imbalance is chaos. It breeds disharmony, conflict, war. Because when people are forced into survival mode, they cannot unite. And unity, true unity, is the one thing that threatens the system. It is the one thing that shifts power from the few back to the many. It is the one thing that reminds us that we were never meant to live in lack. So why are you hoarding? Why are you keeping what was meant to be shared? Everyone can eat. Everyone can thrive. The earth was designed to give, and so were we. Billionaires are not real, but the suffering they cause is. And until we wake up, until we reclaim the flow of energy, the flow of wealth, the balance of giving and receiving, we will remain trapped in an illusion. But illusions can be broken, and the truth is waiting.
I believe World War III will be fought here on U.S. soil, not in some distant, desert or some foreign jungle. Here, the entire collective planet has had enough of America's BS. China, for example, is stepping into roles that America abandoned. Trade, diplomacy, the World Health Organization, all of it. We walked out, they walk in. In Europe, they're done waiting on a broken empire. They're forming their own coalitions against us, their own alliances. BRICS nations, it's a battle plan. Brazil, Russia, India, South Africa, China, Saudi Arabia, Iran, etc., etc. The Trump administration has isolated America, but the rest of the world, they're banding together. And they're making damn sure we don't call the shots anymore. And the worst part is that Americans know it. You could see it in the sentiment of how America feels. When Canada and Mexico slapped back with tariffs, Americans cheered. In Canada, when our national anthem played, the boos were louder than the national anthem. On the ice, when Americans and Canadians were having a fist fight, Americans were cheering on Canadians because deep down Americans know that America is not the good guy. Empires don't crumble overnight, they rot first. They tear themselves apart before the world even throws a punch. You want to see the story of America? Go watch Apocalypto. The craziest part about all of this is that other nations don't have to come and invade us. All they have to do is sit back and watch America crumble from within. And that's it.
And we've come to the end of the video. The last part was deep. And yeah, there's very interesting videos. And come back for more. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and also share with your friends. And also, click on the notification bell icon so that any video that I post, you will be the first to get it. Adios, amigos. And I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye.